Welcome to part 4 of the UAE Diaries. I'm here in part on a trip with Megan Miller, a patron of this channel, that is helping make sure that we are documenting and sharing as much as we possibly can on this trip. So part 1 was with Neva. We talked a little bit about services, expats, the CLM model. Part 2 was with Nicholas Orwin talking about Autism Rocks. Part 3 with Michelle Kelly talking about the academia and some of the pressures that are being faced here in the UAE. And part 4, I am super excited to bring to you the first, but we'll save that. Let's talk with Sharifa. Here we go. Today is a super special day because Instagram brings together two passionate behavior analysts from almost completely opposite ends of the globe.
Yeah.
Yes. So, can you tell everyone who you are, how you found the field, what you do? It's such a cool story.
Right. So, my name is Sharifa Yateem, and as you know, I am the first and only BCBA, and that is Emirati, from United Arab Emirates. And yeah, so it was an interesting story that I knew about ABA. Of course, I didn't know what ABA was when I graduated from high school. I did get a scholarship by my beautiful country. They supported me through my education. So I applied for medicine, like all great, daughters. They're going abroad to study medicine and be the next big doctor.
Yeah.
So I went there. I didn't get the points to enter medical school. So I got into psychology for my bachelor's. And after that, when I'm done from my final year, I was doing a lot of volunteer work in my own country. So, there were so many different kind of incidents that happened with me.
Yeah.
First off, people were coming to me because I'm just bachelor's in psychology, asking advice on what to do with their kids that were picky eaters or had problem behaviors. But of course, I didn't know back then what to do. So at the same time, I was meeting families very randomly, and a mom told me about that she had to get BCBAs from abroad for her kid that is diagnosed with autism. And because now that was 12 years ago or something like that, there wasn't any BCBAs here. And so that was alarming for me. I was like, what do you mean there's no BCBA, there's no ABA here? What do you mean there isn't BCBAs in the United Arab Emirates? That's crazy. And so that kind of, pushed me to go and search more about this science that people had to bring people from abroad. And then I kind of read more about it, and coincidentally, my course director came to our university back then when I was in Ireland, talking about ABA, and they had a master course in Trinity College Dublin. So that's when I said, that's exactly what I want to do. It's about behavior. It's about kids.
Yeah.
They cover, picky eating. That was an issue with one of the families. And that's ABA, where I can be a BCBA, where that mom was talking about. So really all of these signs kind of led me to that. It just happened.
Yeah.
And I always say to a lot of people, it chose me rather than me looking for it. It just kind of, I stumbled
into it.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it was for me as well.
Right?
It's very
and I
weird.
think a lot of people share the same story with they didn't know about the science, and until it's an actual science, you can be a professional in this and so forth. So I got into the master program, and thankfully I was still being sponsored, to finish my education at that time, even though they didn't understand the science. But I was so lucky that my country supported me throughout. And I completed my hours to sit for the exam. I sat the exam here in Abu Dhabi. And of course in the support of the New England Center for Children, that at that time I was working as an intern. And I got my hours, and luckily I sat for the exam, and it was just from there the story keeps on going. It's such an interesting roller coaster.
Yeah. So you're doing a lot of outreach.
Yes.
So let's see. We have the outreach that you're doing. We also have your PhD that you started. That's an interesting angle.
Yeah.
Where do you want to jump next?
Whatever life will take me.
Yeah.
I'm just super excited because I think ABA, the science, has so much potentials in so many different aspects. I want to show how this science could be applied to not just autism.
Yeah.
It could be applied in many, many different fields.
Which is what you're kind of working on now, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of your PhD was jump into an area that's not behavior analysis.
Exactly.
Right? So tell us about that.
So I'm enrolled in a PhD program in the British University of Dubai, and it's a PhD in education.
Okay.
And there's a streamline of special inclusive education. Now, our country is pushing forward on inclusive environment and inclusion and so forth. So, and they opened this program. It's a pretty brand new program, but it's a really good program. What I'm trying to search more on services that are beyond the age of, let's say, 16 or 18 years old, and people don't know that you can use ABA for inclusion, for vocational training, for inclusive education and the work placement. People don't know that, and it's not taught, and that's what I'm trying to kind of put it together, that yes, we have lack of services for adults, but this ways, and there's so many models out there in the world that could work, but of course taking into consideration the culture, the religion, the multiculturalism that we have here in the UAE, so it's very unique how you can have ABA with working with different disciplinaries, and I think that is the best way, is to break that kind of putting yourself in the box of I just do ABA, and I don't think that is fair enough, because people don't like that. Especially in a country like a multicultural country with lots of thoughts and it's very multicultural, globalization and all that. You can't say like, no, I don't do that. It's not ABA,
Yeah.
For me, that is just insane, because we are pushing for science, and we have to kind of understand that we're going to be working with people that don't believe in ABA or is not scientific, So we need to be that flexible and kind of really melt down the scientific words into very easy, knowledge that anyone can understand.
Which is what you've been doing a lot, right?
Yeah, so a lot of it is part of me trying to translate a lot of our knowledge into Arabic.
Okay.
It's not an easy job, but it's when you sit and talk to anyone, like in a park, about what you do and how you can use this, let's say DRO or DRI. You're not gonna say DRO, DRI. You can say you can do this, try this, So then they'll understand and then you pop in that's ABA, by the way.
Yeah.
And that is my kind of strategy. I do a lot of those outreach workshops around the UAE that didn't hear about ABA. Even part of it is like advocacy for autism. Part of it is it's not just for special needs. It's more than that, I also created an app called Tokenat. And it's basically an app. It's like a token board on an app, and it's bilingual. So, it could be translated, the settings and everything in Arabic. And what the special thing about it is that it has auditory feedback. So, and that's what a lot of kids loved, because when you give that star, you get that visual, that auditory feedback, not just the visual feedback. A lot of kids loved it. A lot of families loved it, and I'm just so proud. And it's for free. Anyone can download it.
Okay.
So it was just it's such an incredible kind of journey. I just loved it.
Yeah.
I love the journey that I'm going through with the science of ABA and being as a BCBA as well.
So you're on social media. That's how we ran into each other.
Yeah.
You do a lot of this translating in Arabic on there. Is that right?
Yes. So.
But it's also just kind of this catalyst. Whether it's, I think talking about it in general in these simple ways has been a catalyst for you to do a lot of different things, from radio to TV.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I recently created an Instagram account, and that's where we've met.
Yeah.
And I found myself like, what is the best way that people now get their knowledge? People will not open a book and get their knowledge from there. What I've noticed, really, I've learned it from fashionistas.
Okay.
What we call them fashionistas is all about makeup, and this huge hype on that. I'm like, what? People are interested in makeup because they're good on social media?
Yeah.
I can do that. I can do that with my science, or the science of ABA. Make it more friendlier. You know, so I started to learn from how they did it and how their page looked and what attracted. So I started asking people around in the community, why do you follow that social media influencer or whatever they call them? And they're like, I'm like, there's nothing knowledgeable that they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, why are you following them? And so they started to explain to me what are the important things that they are, you know, and I took those kind of advice and added it to my Instagram.
Okay.
You know, so I started to talk about some tips, right? Some information that anyone can actually read it off a book.
Yeah.
But it's basically you just saying it out loud. And so that is easy access information. And that's what people are looking for, that easy access.
Yeah.
And it should be more visual, you know? So, and people love that personal contact.
Yep.
So when I started to put my face on the Instagram account, the followers, a lot of people that were outside ABA, outside autism, they really got interested into it. Like, who are you? They want to know, what do I do? And so I spoke about my mind, what I think, you know, my thoughts and my opinions about many different things that I hear with speaking with like families or, you know, from different areas or centers or whatever, like the issues that they're facing. And I would just say it out, you know, respectively, of course, to make sure that I'm not offending anyone. But, you know, just that kind of information is really important to put it out there, make it easy for everyone to understand.
And I've explored on this channel a little bit, like there are data out there outside of behavior analysis that show things like having your face as part of the brand of the account does increase engagement.
Yeah, that's important.
And that people, there's these cool thresholds, like I know Twitter at one point, and it looks like it still is, about 1,000 followers was kind of your crux, to be getting it to where you were no longer speaking inwards just to your fellow scientists in your field, but it started reaching outside of your field as well, which is what you're hitting on Instagram.
Exactly, and also on the Instagram, like if there was a journal that or an article that I thought it was interesting, I would like say, what's the most important thing that I want to say about this article? It has to be in less than a minute. You know, and just say it out loud, and then the extra information I would put it in writing in the caption or whatever. But just to have that, you know, people start to understand it more and accept it more rather than talk words and terminologies and all of that, unless they start asking these, can you furtherly explain this, whatever you're explaining. And then I started to talk about different things that are interrelated that could lead to understanding the science.
Okay.
So, for example, acceptance, right? These kind of things are important for you then to look into the strategies, interventions, and all of that, you know? So there are other things that are interrelated so that you get more engagement with the followers, you know? So that way, I definitely think that us as like behavior analysts, we need to put time in disseminating ABA, especially in countries that are still young and they don't understand this science, to use social media as a very prominent way of disseminating information in a very interactive,
Yeah.
fun way, not like in a conference, and
Yeah.
that's it, you know? So that's one of the things I want to really outreach.
It's cool. Yeah, I think you've obviously not only been very passionate about doing these things, but shown also that these things work.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one that was really cool that you mentioned at dinner earlier was one of the outreach workshops led to a documentary, right?
Yes, yeah. That was unexpected, really. I was doing just a workshop about introduction to ABA, what it is, just like the preterm contingencies
Yeah.
and all of that. And then in one of the audiences, she was a producer
Uh-huh.
and wanted to do a documentary about autism awareness
Yeah.
in the UAE, and they approached me, and it's called As One, the Autism Project. That's actually, you can find it on iTunes
Yeah.
and watch it. And basically, they needed an expert to be the best expert in the region
Yeah.
to talk about autism, to train behind the scenes, to train the filmmakers, the producers, the teachers, whoever
Yeah.
was involved in that documentary. And it was basically, putting a light on the families and the kids that we had to teach or train to put a show in front of people.
Yeah.
And that was fun because people now understand that they can learn, they can do whatever you set your mind and
Yeah.
goals
Mm-hmm.
towards, and
that
yeah,
thing
it was
went.
fun.
That thing went festival to festival to festival.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like a
Oh
one
my
done
God,
little project.
it was exactly. So
Yeah.
it was unexpected. So people
Mm-hmm.
started to hear about this autism documentary, and different embassies around the world, the UAE embassies around the world, started to screen it in their embassy, like in Germany and Paris and London. So they all wanted to, raise the awareness of autism in that country. So
Yeah.
that was a good kind of way, using an Emirati-based documentary within,
Mm-hmm.
it's filmed in the UAE, and use that to spread awareness about autism.
Yeah.
And wherever the country was screened in. And I was lucky enough to go there and spread awareness about autism
Mm-hmm.
in different countries. And I would also, of course, I would bring up ABA
Yeah.
as part of the techniques that we used behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like a super exciting project that I was involved in.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, what's next? What are you excited about?
I'm super excited to start doing my research
Okay.
that I've chosen for my PhD. And I am currently co-producing or consulting with a new cartoon that's coming out soon with Abu Dhabi Media. It's called Pablo,
Okay.
which is a kid with autism. It's a cartoon animated that was from UK, and it's going to be screened in Abu Dhabi very soon. So I am working with the team producers and just finding a kid with autism to be the voiceover, the Arabic voiceover. And so I help them to find the right kid
Cool.
to be the voiceover that met the criteria.
Yeah.
So that's super exciting. I can't wait for that to be out there.
Yeah.
So many super exciting things.
Yeah. All over the place, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm hoping this is the first of many touch points on spreading behavior analysis.
Yeah.
It's super cool to see. There's like this small, close-knit community on like Instagram and such that are just like going really hard at trying to share it.
Yeah. That's really cool. And, we should continue doing that. We should disseminate ABA using the technology that we have and get out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And it's not just conferences, because in conferences, you're just going to meet the same people that are interested in the same field.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be, meeting people from other communities or professionals. So disseminate, use social media.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's been awesome.
And I hope you liked Abu Dhabi.
Oh, yes. Abu Dhabi's awesome. I love it. I hope this is not my last time in the UAE. I'll say that.
And I
It's been
have to
amazing.
invite you guys to come over
Yeah.
and help me disseminate ABA
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love to help, however. Okay. Where do people find you on Instagram and such?
So you can just write my name, Sharifa Yateem,
Okay.
and yeah, you'll find me. It's a
Bam.
public
Cool.
account. Very
Cool.
easy to find me.
I'll make sure to link that down below. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sharifa, you are an inspiration. I cannot wait to see where we are in 1, 5, 10 years and compare and share stories. It is amazing the work that you're doing in this beautiful country. Thank you. Make sure that you give her a follow, that you are letting us know in the comments how maybe any of our experiences we could help share and make your day just a little bit better. If you're into this, and only if you're into this, please do me a favor, like, share, comment. It tells us that you're interested in this content, and I will see you in the next one. That's your, wait, make sure you give her a follow. I'm not sure I said that. Anyhow, that's your Daily BA. All right, if you're into this, and only if you're into this, make sure that you, right here, this is the most recent video. This is one that YouTube says is interesting to you, potentially, and